Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers took to the practice field to kick off fall camp for the 2025 season.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Uptempo Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Dustin Smith, and I'm fired up because we finally have some football to talk about. The Auburn Tigers hit the practice field today, day one of fall camp, and man, we are getting so close to that Friday night kickoff versus Baylor. Hugh Freeze took to the podium Wednesday morning. He was asked some obvious questions about Malcolm Simmons, and there was a narrative that's been kind of going around these last couple of weeks, been picking up steam steadily, and Hugh was asked a question about that today, if he's been taking it too easy on Jackson Arnold in practice. I have my thoughts on that. I'm going to play the clip, Hugh's answer, and tell you what I think. So we got a lot to discuss. Before we do, man, do me a favor. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that thumbs up button. Sub to the channel if you haven't done that yet, and share it out on social media. Tag me at DMcShaw28, hashtag level up, tag the War Report Network. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, any of those audio things, go ahead and do me a favor. Subscribe, follow, leave a 5-star review, turn on your alerts, turn on your notifications. It helps the show out a ton, man. So, the Malcolm Simmons situation obviously has been hanging over the head of this football program for the past couple of weeks. I believe the news broke the day after Auburn left SEC Media Days. You knew that day one of fall camp, everyone's going to be looking for Malcolm. Hugh gave a brief opening statement. He didn't say anything. So obviously the first question was asked, what is Malcolm Simmons' status? And Hugh said Malcolm Simmons has been cleared to participate by the university in all football activities. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that because we'll still kind of let that process play out. He still has a court date. But I feel comfortable saying this. The investigation was not done by Hugh Freeze, is not being done by Hugh Freeze in the football program. It's being done by the school, the administration. It's a Title IX situation, my understanding, according to a post that our guy Mike G at the War Report put out, and also Jason Caldwell at 247. He put out a nice article on his website today. Go check that out, kind of explaining the whole situation. So Auburn feels like right now, based on the facts they have, that there's no reason to suspend Malcolm Simmons. You make of that what you want, but he's a full participant in practice Wednesday afternoon. I saw some posts on social media where he was dancing. He appeared to be in good vibes, good spirits, and I feel confident saying this, that I think that if Auburn felt like there was any kind of new facts that were going to come out, if there was anything that was going to be detrimental to Malcolm Simmons being on the team, if he was anything like that, I don't think they would have put him out there today. They have, from the way they're operating right now, it appears like they believe that Malcolm Simmons will be cleared of all wrongdoing and that he will be allowed to participate in the full football season. So with all the facts that we have now, with everything that we know, I think Malcolm Simmons will be a go this year, and that's big news for Auburn. It's just another weapon that Auburn has in that wide receiver room. And when you think of that big freshman class, that Freeze 4 from last year, Cam Coleman, Bryce Kane, Perry Thompson, and Malcolm Simmons, Cam Coleman was the star, right? And he kind of came on strong in that second half of the year. But Hugh Freeze loved Malcolm Simmons early. And he talked about Malcolm not even knowing the plays, not knowing exactly where to be, but they just had to find a way to get him on the field. You have to feel like Malcolm Simmons, freshman year to sophomore year, had a whole summer to learn the playbook, get accustomed to the system, and now a Malcolm Simmons that knows where he needs to be. I mean, he had 400-plus yards as a freshman in a bad offense with guys like Cam, with guys like KLS, kind of taking the bulk of the receptions when there wasn't a whole lot of receptions to go around. So Malcolm ate when he got his opportunities. You got to feel like he's going to take a big jump this year. And he's just another guy that was a freshman last year that got significant play time that we're expecting to take a massive jump. So big news for the Auburn Tigers. Malcolm Simmons, full participant in practice. Some other things that Hugh kind of spoke on, injury stuff. Hollis Davidson, the freshman tight end, who I'm very high on, and I was disappointed that he missed spring, because if he was able to play in spring, then I was gonna predict a nice freshman season for him. Sounds like he's still battling some injuries. So kind of getting off to a slow start here, but he should be good to go. And then the big one was Jeremiah Cobb. Jeremiah Cobb with a broken finger. Jeremiah, he was the subject of a bold prediction that I put in on the last episode. If you missed that one, I put out some bold predictions. Go check it out. Doesn't sound like it's too serious. You don't love to hear that a guy that you're expecting big things from like that is coming into fall camp with a broken finger, especially a guy like that that's going to be catching the ball out the backfield a lot. But it's nothing that's going to be detrimental to his season. So I feel like he should be good to go week 1 versus Baylor. They're going to take it easy on him in these first couple of weeks of fall camp. And Jeremiah's going into his junior season. He's been around, so it's not going to be too devastating for him, right, to have on that yellow jersey and be a live participant in practice. And then Darrell Robinson, who missed the spring, the running back transfer from UConn. Hugh said early at the press conference that he was really close, might be a little limited in some stuff, but I saw some pictures of him from practice. Didn't look like he was in a yellow jersey, but either way, barring any kind of setback in fall camp period, Darrell Robinson should be good to go week 1 versus Baylor. Another thing that stood out to me from Hugh Freeze's press conference Wednesday morning, before I get into the quarterback situation and the comments on Jackson Arnold, he talked about having some NFL guys in the building and all 5 guys that are expected to start on the offensive line getting NFL draftable grades. That's just something that Auburn fans should really be fired up for. I can't remember the last time we've heard something like that. And some of those guys are really high end. Xavier Chaplin, Connor Lew, these guys, if they hit, they could be first, second round draft picks, especially Chaplin. I mean, tackle is a premium position in the NFL. So if Xavier Chaplin is able to come in and have that year play like he played at Virginia Tech in the ACC, and if that translates over to the SEC, then he could easily be a first round pick. And one, what does that say to young high school recruits if you put multiple guys in the NFL? It tells them that if you come to Auburn, we can develop you. And then also it has to fire you up for the young studs that you already have in that room, the Ty Busters, the Cale Ellises, the Brody Scholes, the Favor Edwins, the DeAndre Carters. Like, you've got some dudes, Tyler Johnson, you've got some young dudes in that room already. You can look at it and say, man, if they were able to develop these upperclassmen, they should be able to do that with these young kids too, right? What will those guys be when it's their turn? So, and like a guy like Brody Scholl, he just put on a ton of weight this summer and is coming in ready to play SEC tackle. Y'all know how much I love that kid. And Ty Buster had a hell of a summer by all accounts as well. So just when you look at the current state of the offensive line and the future state of the offensive line, as an Auburn fan, it should really fire you up. And this is the question I kind of find myself asking, look, if all those weapons are over there on the outside, and then if this offensive line reaches even close to its potential, then Jackson just has to protect the football and make the layups. He doesn't even have to be spectacular. If he has a top 10 in college football, a top 5 in the SEC caliber offensive line, and the wide receiver room just does what it's capable of doing, then Jackson just has to not screw it up. Because he should have plenty of time. The run game should work. And you've got all the weapons in the world to distribute the football to. Look, the Camp Coleman's and the Malcolm Simmons and the Perry Thompsons and the Eric Singletons, Jeremiah Cobb, Damari Austin, Jackson Arnold, all that stuff is exciting. It's the sexy thing to talk about. It don't make a damn if they don't have time. And we know that. Auburn fans, we know that. This offensive line, if it hits, I could be selling the Tigers short on an 8-4 prediction. I mean, if this offensive line reaches its potential, the sky could be the limit for this football team if Jackson Arnold just does what he needs to do at quarterback and Hugh Freeze just manages the game the proper way. So the closer we get to the season and the more feedback that we get about how good this offensive line is, I get really, really excited. It's been a long time since I've been this optimistic about the Auburn Tigers up front on the offensive line of scrimmage. Before we get into this quarterback discussion, man, I've had some questions about the memberships. So some people have been trying to sign up for the memberships on their phone and having trouble. I thought YouTube would maybe have solved this issue, but look, get on your desktop. If you are having issues signing up for the memberships, get on a desktop and you should be good. $3.99 a month will get you into the JV squad. $5.99 a month will get you into the varsity squad. JV squad gets you members only live chat. It gets you in the game day group chat, member shout outs, priority reply to comments. You get early access to videos just like this one and exclusive gifts. The varsity squad gets you all of that, plus exclusive recruiting update videos, gameplay with me that's on the video games. If you want to hop on EA College Football 26, the new Madden will be dropping soon. Hell, I'll even play Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto with you if that's what you want to do. So the varsity squad gives you the opportunity to do that and discounted merchandise over at thewarreportshop.com. This helps us out a ton as we travel to games, as we travel to high school games and cover recruiting. This right here is able to fund the podcast, able to keep the lights on, keep us going, man. So any way that you guys can support financially, and you get some great exclusive content out of it. So again, if you're having trouble signing up on your phone, go ahead and hop over to a desktop and it should be good. If you continue to have trouble doing that, just hit me up on X at DMcShaw28 and we'll walk you through it. Now, there's been this discussion, like I talked about in the opening segment, for a couple of weeks about Hugh Freeze and some comments he's made on taking it easy on Jackson Arnold. So I'm going to play the clip, and then I'm going to share my thoughts. Here's Hugh Freeze.
Did you ask a DJ to take it easy on Jackson Arnold during the spring to get the
Yes.
confidence up? And does that have to change during fall camp?
Yeah, I used to be so dogmatic back when, of course, I used to just go tempo, and see how, and man, I was proud if we had 95 plays a game. Yeah, and we scored a bunch of points, and that's the way I started as an OC and carried that over from all my days at Lambeth, Arkansas State, and then at the beginning of the Ole Miss tenure. And then you start kind of finding out, maybe if I'd have managed the clock a little different there, we'd have won another game or two. And so I obviously have changed that somewhat. And I also used to be very adamant. The number one priority of practice is for our quarterback to leave that field confident. And I am going back to that this year, and DJ's been awesome. I mean, the respect I have for him and the job he's going to do, and I think we've got to be really intentional about what are we doing in this period and making sure that our quarterbacks have an adequate chance to really be prepared to have success in it and not try to win a drill, but try to get better in every scenario. And if it is, dirty ball period where everything's being thrown at the quarterback, the quarterback should know that, and that's fine. But if it's not that, then let's work together to make sure we're preparing him. I mean, I think the worst thing we could do for any quarterback, and Jackson in this case, is to go out and practice this afternoon, and we have scripted plays that have zero chance of success because obviously we're not game planning right now for our defense. But so I think we've done a better job, Nix and DJ, of working together on, all right, what are we doing this period? And let's see if we can defend it, and let's see if we can execute it with the quarterback being really prepared for that, if that makes sense.
Okay, so Hugh Freeze said that, and a lot of people online have taken it as, well, Hugh's just taking it easy on Jackson Arnold, and they're not throwing anything at him, and this is not going to be good when the season comes around because Jackson Arnold is not going to have his feet thrown to the fire, and he's not going to be prepared. Look, if this is your first time listening to the Uptempo podcast, let me be clear. I have a lot of questions about Hugh Freeze, his in-game play calling. You can go back to episode 3 or 4 episodes ago where I talk extensively about my concerns there. did a whole member pod breakdown this summer where we went through game after game, in-game mistakes, mismanagement. I have questions about Jackson Arnold. Fully understand everything that he went through with Oklahoma last year, but he still didn't play great. I have questions that a guy in Hugh Freeze who struggled his first 2 years at Auburn and a guy in Jackson Arnold that struggled at Oklahoma last year are going to suddenly be able to meet up and fix each other's problems. There's a lot of questions around this. All that being said, if Hugh Freeze and Jackson Arnold fail, if they don't mesh, if it doesn't click, it's not going to be because Hugh Freeze told DJ Turkin to chill out on installs in spring. Listen, I didn't play football at a high level. I only played in high school. But this happened when I played in high school. In spring installs, the offense is trying to learn the playbook. You're trying to learn the formations. You're trying to learn where to line up. If anybody's followed football for any amount of time, what do they always say in preseason camps? The defense is ahead of the offense. That's just the way it is. The defense that you practice against every day has the luxury of knowing the plays that the offense is going to run because they practice against them every day. They see those plays. Hugh said in that clip, we have what he called them dirty ball periods. When I played in high school, it was just live. Like, all right, hey, it's coming at you now. Now the defense is going for real. They're doing stunts. They can do blitzes, whatever. But if you're in perimeter drill, which is basically what the 7-on-7 is, I think they call it something. They call it skeleton at Auburn. I think when I was in high school, it's called perimeter, but it's basically just no O-line, but it's your, receivers versus DBs and a quarterback, maybe a running back, maybe like a middle linebacker type covering that running back. It's the 7-on-7 stuff that you see. Yeah, the defense isn't doing anything fancy in those situations. And if it's even if it's 11-on-11, if it's an install day, the offensive coordinator might tell the D coordinator, hey man, can you just line up in cover 2, like basic cover 2, whatever your basic formation is. Like, we've got to get the play down, right? The O-line's going to be able to communicate who's scooping, who's pulling, whatever. There's a lot of stuff going on there. The wide receivers are trying to get down the formations. Is it an option route for the wide receiver? What am I reading here? Like, it's called install for a reason. You're installing something. So, look, not every drill in football, not every period in a practice is meant to what Hugh Freeze said. You're not trying to win every drill. Some things are just about reps, just about mental reps, just about technique, just about fundamentals. This is not, guys, this happens in every football camp. Okay? Now, could Hugh have maybe worded it a little bit different, or did he even have to say this? Like, I don't think he even had to say it because, again, it happens at every camp. This is any time, especially if you have a new quarterback coming in and learning a new system in the spring. Yes, DJ Dirk is not throwing the book at him because Jackson would have never got anything accomplished. The offense would have never got anything accomplished. And to Hugh Freeze's point about confidence, yes, it would have smashed his confidence for no reason. And not only would it have smashed, like, if the defense is out there just teeing off on the offense of day 3 of spring football with a new quarterback still learning the playbook, yeah, yes, you are going to probably hurt his confidence at some point if you just keep doing that every day, but it's going to hurt everybody else's confidence. The wide receiver's going to be like, damn, dude. Like, it's just not the way it works. Now, I would be concerned if you didn't put the dirty ball part in there. And again, that's like, okay, y'all can do what that just means do whatever. Like, in this portion of practice, it's a scrimmage, basically. Do whatever you want to do, and we got to be ready for it. But this is so blown out of proportion. Another part of this is, think about what Jackson Arnold can do with his legs. You don't even get that in practice, right? Because the quarterback doesn't get hit. So, like, we're really nitpicking stuff at this point. So, I mean, what if the play breaks down in practice that Jackson Arnold would have been able to scramble out on and get 20 yards on? But he doesn't do that in practice. He just hits the check down or throws it out of bounds or tries to force something. Like, let's not do this with practice, okay? There's a lot of different things that go into practice. Let's not start trying to break down every little detail about practice and make it into something more than what it is. Because specific drills, specific periods, all have a certain purpose. And most of us have never been in a college football setting. We haven't been around that. A lot of people apparently have never even played high school football that are commenting on these kind of things. Like, this is nothing to freak out about, okay? Hugh Freeze and Jackson Arnold might not work out. It will not be because DJ Durkin wasn't going all out in spring install. Now, if we hear 2 weeks from now that, man, during live scrimmages, Hugh Freeze told the defense and DJ Durkin to chill out on Jackson Arnold, then I'll join with y'all. Then I'll join in the outrage because that would be ridiculous. But that's not what I heard. That's not what I got from it. This is a non-story, and I really can't believe the traction that it's got. But it is what it is. You know, everything that Hugh says is taken to be a certain kind of way, and it's almost like he can't do a press conference with somebody not coming out and taking something that he said and putting it out of context. It's frustrating. There's all kind of questions about the in-game coaching, the scheme. Does it still work in today's day? And there's a ton of things you can question Hugh Freeze about. The fact that these are the kind of things that continue to get brought up and circulate online and all that kind of stuff. It's goofy to me. It's goofy. Look, this is part of football. I was surprised a couple weeks ago when I kind of heard that this was a thing. I was like, well, man, I mean, I can tell you the spring that I went from JV to varsity football, that whole spring, the defense was pretty basic. Vanilla defenses during the spring install period is not a new concept. And the defense has to learn it too. Like, the defense, they're getting all their techniques and all their stuff squared away too. So maybe DJ Durkin doesn't want to go all out, full throat, every single drill either. Maybe he's trying to get technique and assignments and all that kind of stuff down as well. So, and the final point on this, on the confidence point, I'm not with Hugh Freeze and Jackson Arnold every day. Hugh Freeze has coached quarterbacks a lot more than me. I can tell you what I've never heard. I've never heard a coach say, I named the starter because he was pressing in practice, like Hugh did with Peyton Thorne. I was on board with everybody. I raised my hand and said, hey, that's concerning and that's scary. Longtime listeners know I actually fussed about that more than a lot of people were until after the fact. I was immediately like, hey, this is weird. But this is not that. I know because of that, people want to liken this situation to that, but it's just not the same thing, man. It's just not. So let's not make anything more than what we need to make out of it. Again, unless you hear that this continues in the fall camp and live scrimmages, then we should all be very concerned. But if Hugh Freeze feels like Jackson Arnold's confidence needs to be up, that Jackson needs to be leaving practice every day confident, then okay. Okay. That seems reasonable to me. I've heard other coaches talk about that before. Look, so if you're one of those people that are freaking out about vanilla defenses and spring installs, I politely ask you to step back from the ledge, take a deep breath. Again, if Auburn and Hugh Freeze, Jackson Arnold, if that doesn't work out, it's not going to be because of that. That's a very common thing that happened during the spring all across college football. Guys, thank you for watching. Go ahead and do me a favor. Smash that thumbs up button. Sub to the channel if you're listening on audio. Sign up for those notifications. Sign up for those alerts. Leave a 5-star review. As more Auburn football news drops, we will react right here on the Up Tempo podcast. Until next time, we're Damn Eagle.